What do you got, Coach? 3 things that all coaches need.
Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of coaches?
New York or the Aces? Definitely going with the Aces.
All right, 4th down. Who has the tougher job, coaches or officials? If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? For Texas, it's different. Welcome to the Coaches Co-op. I'm your host. My name is Michael Prejean. Most of you know me as Coach P. Listen, it's Black History Month in the co-op. So as the host of Coaches Co-op, I get to do what I want to do. It would be far remiss if I did not give you an episode or episodes in which we talk about Black History Month here in the Coaches Co-op. As a teacher, I taught African-American studies. I have a picture of myself in 7th grade. I went to NP Moss Middle School in Lafayette, Louisiana. So shout out to Carrie Landry for sending this picture to me. 7th grade, I had on a Malcolm X t-shirt. Okay, so Black history is a part of me. I am a part of Black history. So one thing that I felt that I needed to do was have a Black History Month episode or episodes here in the Coaches Co-op. All right. I am from a family who grew up during, desegregation. So my father graduated high school in 1971. He was part of the first, I think it was the first graduating class, right? In desegregation in his hometown of Lafayette, Louisiana. So he has older brothers and sisters. All of his older brothers and sisters went to the Black high school, which at the time was Paul Breaux in Lafayette, Louisiana. My mother hails from Vicksburg, Mississippi. Okay, now Brown versus the Board of Education, that decision was made in 1954. Both of my parents graduated from high school in 1971. In 1971 in Vicksburg, Mississippi, my mother still went to an all-Black high school. That would be Rosa A. Temple High School in Vicksburg, Mississippi, home of the Bucks. So my mother literally was in the last class. They call themselves the last of the Bucks. That's the 1971 graduating class of the Rosa A. Temple High School. So when I say that Black history is a part of me, Black history is a part of me. When I was a kid, Eyes on the Prize. I don't know if you've ever seen that documentary, but it came on PBS. It caught a hold of me, and man, I was all in. So the history of Black people here in America, the history of Black people around the world, the civil rights struggle here in the United States, the struggle for civil rights all around the world, those things have always captured my attention. So being a coach and the love that I have for athletics, but also the love that I have for Black history and Black people, those two things are coming to a head this month here in the Coaches Co-op. So what are we going to talk about today? I won't be before you long, but here's what I want to talk about today. Participation. I want to talk about the participation of Black youth in sports here in America. So between the ages of 6 and 17. Okay. So, but let me ask this question. What if Black history wasn't about just looking back, but about learning how to look at the things that are going on right now? And for those of us who are coaches or have been coaches, it's about leading better. Okay. So was doing a little digging, doing a little research, okay? And here's one of the things that I found out. All right. In 2024, regular sports participation for Black youth age 6 to 17 in the US was 35%. That's a 10% decrease from 2013. So in 10 years, we saw a 10% decrease in youth participation in youth sports and high school sports. Okay. So here's current regular participation. About 35% of Black youth regularly participate in sports. That's the lowest rate of regular participation among tracked racial groups. So we got to ask why, right? Because we turn our TV on, we know Black folks play football, we know Black folks play basketball, right? Those are the sports that we see a lot here on American television. Now, there are not a lot of African Americans playing Major League Baseball. Now, there's a lot of melanated people. There's a lot of people with melanin in their skin that are playing in the major leagues, but that number has steadily decreased when it comes to African Americans in the major leagues. So we got to ask ourselves why, and we'll talk about that in a second. In comparison to other groups, 65% of Latino youth, 63% of white youth tried at least one sport. Okay. And these are coming from the National State of Play in 2024 report for girls and boys sports, as well as the Aspen Institute's National State of Play, right? So that's where this data is coming from. So the gender disparities, let's talk about gender disparities. Participation amongst girls is generally low across all races. You know, that's a sticking point for me because I coached young women for over 2 decades, right? So we always want to empower young women. So while 60% of non-Hispanic white girls participate in sports, only 42% of Black girls do. Why? That's the question we got to ask. The question we have to ask is why? So the decline in youth sports amongst African Americans is attributed to structural rather than interest-based factors. So what are we saying here? Kids are interested in playing, but there are some structural boundaries in place that are keeping Black kids from participating at the same rate as their non-Black counterparts. All right. So here's the first thing let's talk about: economic disparities. There's a 20 percentage point difference in sports participation between children from high income households and those from low income households. So what does that mean? Let's put it in plain language. Kids that come from families that have more money, they tend to participate more in sports. So what are you saying, Coach P? Are you saying that it costs to participate in sports? Well, here's what the research indicates. Research indicates that facility access and program availability are the primary barriers. Participation drops significantly in communities with fewer public sports facilities. Where are we finding communities with fewer sports facilities? If you said Black neighborhoods, you got the answer right. All right. Then there's another thing that goes here, and that's post-pandemic recovery. So Black youth resumed sports at a lower level than they were playing before the pandemic, okay, at a rate of 42%. All right. So 42% of Black youth who were playing sports prior to the pandemic did not participate again after the pandemic. Okay. So I don't have any sports specific data to look at, but one of the questions I think we have to ask is why, right? We know what sports do for overall health. We know what sports do for overall mental health. Okay. So let's talk about these numbers just a little bit. This article, this is Dr. Brian Hanlon. This article from February 8th of last year. He's talking about kids losing interest. I'm sorry. He's talking about kids losing access, not interest. Okay. And this is because the cost of participation continues to rise. Okay. So it's worth looking at some of the barriers that these sports have faced. Okay. It's no secret that learning and playing a sport at an early age can prove enormously valuable. Sports participation is associated with lower levels of stress, lower levels of anxiety, and lower levels of depression in young people, as well as better self-esteem, improved cognition, and heightened physical literacy. Physical activity releases endorphins. Those are the feel-good hormones that put you in a better frame of mind and enhances brain connections. It helps kids maintain a healthy weight and sets young people on a path to be healthy. So when young people are able to participate in sports, we have generally more healthy young people. Now, if you know anything about low socioeconomic status and poverty as it relates to health, we know that people from low socioeconomic backgrounds tend to be the least healthy. They tend to have the least healthy options when it comes to things like groceries and restaurants. We tend to associate these areas with things that we call food deserts. So now we take all of those factors and we combine them with the fact that young people who live in these areas do not have access to youth sports. All we're going to do is make them more sick. So let's talk about some of these numbers. The average cost of playing youth basketball was over $1,000 in 2022. Soccer, 20% more expensive, over $1,100, almost $1,200 a year on average. Nearly 2/3 of families, according to this article, say the cost of youth sports is a financial strain. Okay. So in this Black History Month, one of the things that we have to do is, number one, continue to educate ourselves, right? Continue to educate ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, right? We need to continue to figure out ways to create opportunities for youth to participate, especially youth that may live in areas of lower socioeconomic status. Okay. Historically, in our country, kids who live in areas of lower socioeconomic status tend to be Black, brown, and if they're white, they tend to be poor. Right. These areas tend to have low value groceries, low value water. Right. And now if we're finding that these areas, along with having low value food and water, right, we're now having low value physical activity. Okay. So let's continue to educate ourselves. Those of us who are coaches, let's continue to create avenues. Coaches, athletic directors, youth sport directors, let's partner up. Let's be partners for our youth, especially our Black youth, especially our brown youth, especially our poor youth. Let's create those avenues for our kids to be able to do better and live better. Because one of the things that we talk about here in the Coaches Co-op, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, right? So I just brought some facts here for you. It's Black History Month in the Coaches Co-op. My name is Coach P. Y'all know what we do here in the Coaches Co-op. It's a master class in athletic leadership, okay? But we cannot continue to call ourselves masters of what we do if we're leaving our Black kids behind, if we're leaving our brown kids behind, if we're leaving our poor kids behind. Again, this is the Coaches Co-op. I'm your host. My name is Coach P. I'll see y'all a few more times this month. Matter of fact, I'll be back in a couple of days, and I want to talk about who I think is the true GOAT. If we had to say that there is one GOAT when it comes to NBA basketball, I'm going to tell you the one person who I think has the truest stake to that claim. This is the Coaches Co-op. It's Black History Month. I'll see y'all next time.